I think the most hair-raising part about racism is that it is so insidious.
Yes.
Right? That it is baked into the DNA of absolutely everything. Like, I mean, I'm standing at a red light. Now I know that once this red light turns green, that at least I'll have a run on this avenue. I'm on Morris Park. On this avenue, I will have a run all the way down to at least Bronx Park, which is about a mile. And there won't be any in between red lights. But if I was on Gung Hill Road or, on White Plains Road between Helen Parkway and Gung Hill, the lights will be staggered. So there'll be one red light that'll turn green, and I'll go 2 lights, and then it'll be red again.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be staggered, and I'll be doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And probably a whole lot of time before it actually gets integrated. I'm only maybe a mile away from Allerton Avenue.
Mm.
Okay? But this was Jewish, then it became Italian, then it got held Italian, old Italian, and now, new Barish Italian. Okay?
Wow.
But that's white. This is white in America. All right? And they make demands on the institutions that service them. And they say, we don't want to be stop and go, stop and go. Ain't no reason for that, right? But they don't even have to say it out loud because the institutions themselves sustain a level of commitment to this community that they don't have to Allerton and especially Gung Hill, because that's Afro-Caribbean.
Yeah.
Okay, those are Black neighborhoods. Okay, those are Latinx neighborhoods that contain within them, okay, an expectation that people riding down the road may have to be stopped every 2 to 3 blocks. And that way police don't have to chase you so hard.
Yeah. These are the things that people, like, we don't think about it, like we don't put all the pieces together. And that's why I love trainings like these, because it kind of just lays out in a really, nice container, kind of everything, and everyone who shows up contributes and takes a part of the training.
That's right.
And so you've been doing this work for 45 years, is that right? Over 45 years?
I've been a human service provider for 45 years, probably a little long. I have always worked in the field of disparity, okay, in the area of disparity in human services. So I have been I first graduated as a nurse practitioner, and then I went into substance abuse. And then I got a clinical degree in counseling. And then I went for my master's in administration. And I went to, I am a smart camp kid, okay? Which is what happens to us when we are, on track, quote unquote, to prove that we're good or just as good or possibly even better, okay, than what people say about our people. Not necessarily us, but our people.
Yes.
Right? So I graduated in 1978, okay, from nursing school. I had 1978? 1974, I had my daughter. I was 20 years old. And in 1978, I graduated from, in 1974, I graduated from nursing school because that's when I had my daughter. In 1978, I graduated from social work school. And then in the 80s, I got a dual master's, a master's in administration and a master's in science. all that time I was, I was either a frontline service provider, or I was providing, or I went up the ranks from doing actual frontline service to, administration to a commission out of the Office of Women's Health in Washington to develop 50 clinics throughout the 50 states, one a state. Clinics that were specifically focused on the on health disparities in women's health, and so all of that work culminated in being clear and becoming even clearer that no amount of service was going to change the outcomes of any one of us as people of color in the United States until we had a race analysis that was the sister for the process of looking at and dealing with these disparities. Because we kept researching disparities, and we still do it. We research disparities as if they were an anomaly. They're not a fucking anomaly.
Yeah.
Okay. A disparity is man-made. Disproportionality is something that happens in nature, right? And we call it disproportionality because we always want to control everything. But there is a disproportionate amount of water between Florida and let's say Houston, Texas. At any given time, there will be parts of them that will be under drought, and other times underwater. There's disproportionality between the water in New Orleans and the water in Arizona, the amount of water. So that is nature. Disparities are historically determined by human beings. They're man-made, and they are choices that are made for those that are considered to be less than.
Yeah.
So no amount of service is going to change that. If anything, disparities are built into the system of of capitalism, the system that supports classism. And the thing is, what keeps classism in place is racism. As long as we have racism, classism will be, in all of its fervor, alive and well. And the highways and byways are the internalized racial disparities that we learn about each other. When we internalize these racial oppressive, biases about each other, those are the byways and highways that are used in the construct that uses racism to keep class in place.
Yeah.
So the rich get richer, the poor are poorer, and everybody else fits in wherever they can, And we invent. This is all invented because nothing belongs to anybody.
Yeah.
Like, this is not my car. It just so happens that this car, okay, I traded something that's called money that doesn't exist everywhere, okay? And so I get to use it until I'm not using it anymore. And the fact of the matter is that that we have adopted a way of life that decreases, that everything's values decrease the moment that we get it. So the moment that this car gets on to the street, its values decrease. Right? That wasn't so when we were living circular lives, okay, within the context of, the circle of life that only uses what it needs, puts, takes only what it can give back. And if that's how we live, then I would park this car, and whoever needed it next would just
come
step
and
into
take
it. Exactly. And tomorrow morning, I would pick up another car if I
Yeah.
needed it, you know, or a bike or a bus or a horse or a donkey,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, but
But,
that's not profitable. That's
well,
not,
because
yeah.
the class system deems that we have capitalism. Class system doesn't exist without capitalism. Okay? And what keeps that in place is the ism, because these are all isms, ideologies, the ism called racism. That ism supports and sustains classism in place. It's important to be able to be this honest and this present to our own socialization. And this is not about, not having fun. This is about having a higher level of fun. This is about being able to have a conversation and not have to worry about what the outcome of that conversation is going to be, not just on me, but on those around me. This
Yeah.
is about no longer accepting that has taken away our humanity and has for centuries laid us out as less than. That we come to terms with the absolute truth of this and no longer accept that there should be anything other than equity, both in our lives and in the lives of those that we love. Because undoing this process, it was done, so it can be undone. Will it happen in my lifetime? I don't know, honey. You know, I've been doing only this work for the past 15 years.
Mm.
For the past 15 years, all I have done is travel all over the United States having this conversation. Okay? Does it make me rich? No. Am I the happiest, go luckiest person in the world? I like the beach. I'm real happy with the beach. Are there benefits to it? Absolutely, there are benefits to it. I get to tell my truth every day. Okay? I carry my passport with me. I carry enough money to be able to move, and my gasoline tank is always full. There is a change of clothes in my bag, okay, for at least 5 days. And my daughters and I have a code. If I have to leave, they know where they can get me. And only they know where they can get me.
Wow.
The IRS has investigated me every single year in the past 15 years. I will never be able to pay them what they want me to pay them. So everything that I earn, they get 10%. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And at any given time, I could be set up. So I got to be clean as a board of health.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell them myself so no one else has to.
Exactly. Wow.
And I wouldn't change one moment of my entire life.
That is so beautiful. And there's so much liberation in being able to speak your truth every day, you know, and knowing that your spirit is clear, you know, and that you're working towards empowering all of us to do the same. How did the process of you going from, you know, the service sector to doing anti-racism trainings and work full time, was there something that that happened that sort of made you make the shift, or was it a gradual kind of leaving away your other work?
I entered a room that was having this conversation, and I sat and I listened, and then I felt like, oh my God, everything that they're saying makes it just created a resonance that shook all of my insights. And I came, you know, I knew that this is what I had to do, that this was a conversation that I had to have, and then and that I had to become a scholar in it, that I had to be thorough in what I was talking about, that it would never be complete, that it would always be in process. So I went to a training with the People's Institute, and I sat there, and when I went, I was the senior vice president of an institution, and I had a portfolio of $45 million. I earned six figures. I wore my 3-inch heels, my Calvin Klein suit, my Calvin Klein glasses, I had made it, quote unquote, right? Miserable. Because people would hire me to be a change agent, and they didn't want me to change anything. But I didn't know, I couldn't figure out why. I had all the information because I didn't learn anything that was new in that workshop. Well, what I did get was the resonance of understanding why it was. And it was clear. It was clear that whenever I was talking about disparity, other people were talking about inequality. When I was talking about, change, people were talking about fixing people. Not changing the systems, but fixing the people. And we were spending millions and millions of dollars in that institution every year doing the exact same thing. And still the clients were all, I would question, why are people coming for counseling for 25 years, 15 years on a couch? Why is that happening? That doesn't make any sense. As a clinician, it never made sense to me that people had to be fixed for so long and could never be on their own. And I started telling people I wouldn't see them. If they felt that they needed longer than, 3 to 6 months of investment in a conversation with me, I would tell them that I couldn't do that because then what they were paying for was for a friendship. I would teach them how to make friends. I would help them develop the social techniques that would help them to make friends. But they didn't have to pay me for 15 years to just have a friend to go talk to.
Yeah.
That just did not make sense to me. But you see, that became commodified as well. So in this country, everything becomes commodified before capitalism takes over. And it becomes commodified through the culture of white supremacy. Because it's only when white people say that a dashiki is cool that dashiki becomes cool. And I've been a core trainer with the People's Institute for about 14 years, 15 years. And, and it's been in the past 5 years that I have been developing what I call the guardrail training, because it's the recovery part. You see, the People's Institute gives you, a specific conversation and specific tools. And then what do you do with that? You know, so I take people into a place where they have to start looking at, well, how is this actually working inside of me? And how is this, out here being, how am I infusing this environment with what's inside of me? And how is this inside of me eating away at my humanity? And what is my vision for 50 years from now? And how do I get there? So, the whole concept of this emergent love is a love for the possibilities, the vision of the recovery of our humanity through compassion, through gentleness, through a space where it's not about pointing a bony finger, but it is about taking and being accountable. You form an accountability circle, and you demand of yourself a movement forward. And we will know when we've gotten there, when never, ever will we be able to determine a person's life outcomes based on their race narrative. When that is no longer a measure, then we'll know that we've gotten there. And it could be done. It could be done.
The recovery process is us doing the reverse socialization, socializing us towards love and towards compassion.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly it. And recovering, is to to read, to go back, to redo, okay? And really to bring it back in. So we recover our arms, we recover our heads, we recover our torsos in the body of humanity. And then as we begin to recover that, then the part of our humanity that we're so desperate to feed will be able to be fed, because that's fed through intimacy. Our humanity is enlarged and engrossed and can live only through intimacy. And it's in this country, we're so freaked out about sex and we have no idea what intimacy is, but intimacy, into me you see.
I love that.
And it's like, I'm not afraid to show you because I don't have to hide behind all these masks. I'm not gonna worry about, we laugh in my family because I'm the lightest skinned one and I got blue eyes, right? My hair in the wintertime is very, very straight. But I'm Caribbean, so as soon as we get humidity, this is my natural hair, right? And my sister says, that's as close as you're gonna get to kinks. And I go, and I wish I had more. I wish I had more. But you know what? My outcome will never be determined by whether my hair is straight or curly, whether my eyes are blue or brown, whether my skin is dark or light. And you and I will recover our connection, because then, what happens now is that me and you are in constant fight about who's going to be the one that's going to speak about the most oppression. We play the oppression Olympics. I don't mean literally you and I, but and people are. We're always playing. Like who's the most oppressed? Yeah. You know what? We've been doing that for 450 years. We're still all oppressed. What's really interesting is when white people start to realize that they're oppressed too, and they're just blind to it.
Yeah.
That
they're socialized to be blind to it.
Exactly. But we have to know. We have to know that they're blind to it. Because if we don't know that they're blind to it, then we get all kind of crazy. Because then they're just evil. Then it's just evil. And it's not to say that the stuff that has been done hasn't been evil. It has been evil. It's been horrific evil to remove a whole group of people from the tree of humanity and say that that's freaking science. Give me a break. Okay? And yet, we have to come from a place of radical love, because it's not about turning it upside down. It's about, flattening it, okay, and spreading the fortune. And I tell people all the time, you want to know, you want to really do anti-racist work? So find out how much the CEO makes, and then find out how much the janitor makes. And then find out how many kids the CEO is supporting. Find out how many the janitor is supporting. And then determine to switch their salaries.
Wow.
That's liberation.
It's simple. It's as simple as that.
It can be. It can be. It can be. I mean, we could end hunger tomorrow. We could end hunger tomorrow. There is no such thing as food deserts. It's not food deserts. It's food deprivation. You cannot have food deserts, especially here in the Bronx, when every port of entry for the Northeast in every kind of food that is brought through the waters ends up here before before it's taken elsewhere. This is a main port of food entry. All of the produce, all of the meats, all of the frozen stuff here in the Bronx, Hunts Point. So it is not that we don't have it. It is that we're deprived of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not about a desert.
Yeah.
It is about deprivation. And that's a whole other word.
See, and that's why having the correct language and using the right words is so important, because when you say that hits.
That's right.
And you feel that.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Because you can prove it. All you got to do is walk down to Hunts Point. Okay. Count how many ships come in a day. Okay. And where is that food going? Why is Hunts Point 10 blocks away from 149th Street, and people on 149th Street can't find a decent tomato? Things that make you go, what?
Yeah.
As my granddaughter will say.
What's your 50-year vision? Like, what do you envision for the world in 50 years?
I have 3 grandchildren. A 17-year-old, so she would be 67. A 14-year-old, so he would be 64. And a 5-year-old, so she will be 55. And I vision them having the life that is based on every dream that they have coming to fruition through a base of community that sees them for the beauty and the wonder that they are, and will never, ever be set back because of their Asian Puerto Ricanness or their Puerto Ricanness, because my older grandchildren are Southern Asian father, Puerto Rican mother, and my youngest granddaughter are 2, Afro-Caribbean, Puerto Rican, born in the Bronx.
Wow.
Okay, so, and yeah. And so I tell everyone that I speak to, my commitment to you is to give you my all. And what I ask of you is that you pass it on. So.
Thank you so much, Milta. That was so beautiful. And I really, really appreciate your time and your wisdom and all of the work that you do for the world.
Thank you. And thank you for being so, so caring, and also for accepting that this is the only way that we could do it today.
However I can get you, I'll take it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.